Hello, my name is Kevin Bateman, and this is Hear Me Wake from Bourne in Gloucestershire, Bream in the Devil's Passage. Sorry, the Devil's Chapel. This poem is called Tongue of Voice. We are scared to look at each other, to feel each other. Our lives are a mess. But if we orgasm, we feel better. We are alive. The liquid travels into our soul. I have never drowned in love. Have you ever envisioned sadness? Our children are our breath. We cannot make liars out of everyone. This poem is called Summon. What did you have to do to get to where you are now? Did you have to kill a deer, a person, or a child? Pray to your God. Oh, I am sorry. You are Catholic. Continue praying. A mix of generational people. Crossroads, Master, Satan, Claus. Marry me. I will be your virgin bride. Edmontation. Full moon glow. I live in the dark liver of the world. Thank you. And I give you Erin Belieu.
This is a poem called Olentangy River. Hardest day ever in Ohio, and gray and coldest, as if there were another day in Ohio, as if the sun that spelled briefly where we walked for hours freezing were a magic as I needed it to be. Gollum's proof and Yenta's blessing to those many nights of driving past your house, inexorable, self-embarrassed, fuller than an itch, something better than this, sore, those nights not knowing where exactly, but inevitable and clearly set on a direction, that place where I was driving, because of course there was you, somewhere sleeping, or toasting bread, or staring tired at TV, and ending lost, always lost. Still, you've never been imagined as I imagined you, today with a wife, sleeping in Ohio, and babies down the hall, not ever so reached for. What did you do there by the Olentangy, once called stone for its knife, and therefore my soul caught at the place, which is fitting, wedded as I was and sudden in Ohio, where objects are steep to climb and wrong. But you walking with your Herbert, this gift, a little nothing, what you offered on my shelf now, hand whitening in the freezing, and you ungloved. And there your voice always, where we are walking, will always be walking by the Olentangy, freezing. And this is section 9 of a longer poem called In the Red Dress I Wear to Your Funeral. I do not desist in my delusion, do not permit the victor's history, will not admit your fake religion. What jams your finger in the dry vagina of tin idols will not go quietly. Your evil goody who cries me in the marketplace, who knocks my ear to the pillory with false instruments. My crimes, never crimes, for firstly I be the pretty pony of all plague, slant-gashed, a coil beneath my scum of loveliness. No, I always am, your yellow roses in a beer bottle, your weakness and reward, one organ conjoined in the blue teepee of floating whistles, double thunder coming in my wicked mouth to eat you and your grandma too. Name her who bites you harder, little girl. Will not say for seconds I am filth, dirty as the damaged apple I bore, not yours, never yours, that unspeakable sunshine. Turn your head, and I'll kindly cut it off. Yes, the best reason I am left only the mother of a great son. You would go blind and blinder to look upon its number. And for finally, I'm not of your being queen of the flat kingdoms, what crop your emptiness. I do not admit these, nor I lied, nor I betrayed, nor I am starving for you, nor can you make me, never will I disappear.
And I give you Clive Birnie.
It's 3 short untitled poems. Natural cracks, rings, even tree bark, rendered into styling elements by a girl who could smell the sea coming, who could predict the precise second that red sand rain would arrive from distant deserts. The New York Times called her the perfect, dreamy iteration of a surprising discovery, but her own research said tricks of the light. Fraudulent representations may indicate otherwise when the going is soft. Good to soft in places. Penzance, Nantwich, Sheffield. Chances are, these days, if you want to find exactly the right thing, your breathless pleas for help will be on tonight's evening news. It's the second one. Chefs the world over are lauding the special umami taste of seafood gathered by the Haenyo of Jeju. It adds a savoury depth that salt alone cannot. A sharp, tangy funk trumpet, raw and cured and played full blast on your tongue. They keep some for themselves, of course, free diving to depths that would bend the likes of us. Mermaids who have evolved a radically different physiology adapted to pause underwater. Afloat to mark their presence, a weeding hoe to dig, eardrums fractured to fine mesh, whistling for breath, pushing air past phonic lips pitched too high for mere human hearing. And finally, Susanna dreams of RoboSquid when she wears her Neuro Mindwave headset. Modelled on a 1974 design by engineer Stig Carlson, Susanna says it's comfortable, but the screen is on the back of my head. I have to get a friend to change the Aquabeat to Splashdance Aqua Disco. She's an alt-geneticist biohacker, recharging complex systems. Her experimental robot dolphin, close to revolution. A sleek metallic tube, more than 10 feet long. A homing chip enabled to determine the unexpected. It's smarter, more dangerous, and more musical than you might think. Firefly luminescent, but bioengineered to pump out subaquatic opera at 22,000 feet.
I give you Matt Duggan.
The poem, this is The Echo Chamber. Every night I listen to a man going mad. It starts with the moving of wardrobes, the winksing cry through thin plasterboard, a building crescendo of expletives, repeated again and again with the voices that surround him. Every night I listen to a man going mad, until one night the screams paused. No sound of friction behind these thin walls, just rolling sirens melting into the windows' raindrops, that blue and red repetition as they escort his spirit from the bedroom where a blister pack of pills lay untouched. A diary of water. We rise from the water, tunnels spinning from seabed. Our first pierced breaths of oxygen are like an embryonic rush for birth, swaying on the surface, half in one world, breath and sight in another. We reach the barrens of land through countless incarnations of various deities. We had come out of the water, surviving on the dry land, knowing we were always seabound, a curse for the mother of all gods. We would return to the oceans when concrete flames in a strawberry moon burn flags and prophecy. We will once again be the liquid before birth, the after-flood of death, ink in a diary of water. And finally, the feeding. It was only on an August evening, when the clouds were as black as clockwork, sky grey, one pumping vein, shaking the occasional raindrop, that I noticed and could see the animals chewing on my flesh. I once hunted and jumped with them. And when they think that you are done, a relic with wounds used for their own sickly delectation, they feed, 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 leaving a slight beat, a bare bone, and I, weak, still have a flame burning in the pit of my eye, a thinking phoenix in my stomach, waiting for that perfect moment when I will rise once again and start feeding on their flesh for the very first time.
I give you Keith Kopka.
For a moment, I feel immortal, or rather disappointed. No matter what the graffiti on this wall tells me, I'm positive that Shay and Rich will not be together forever. But we learn so much about death when we're young. Its spring held tight, taut by the suction of a pop-up toy. The shock when it jumps, despite our anticipation. When I was 6, I held my breath in the shower and listened to my mother run the vacuum until my body collapsed in the tub basin. I woke in her arms so confident of my death that when she'd settled me with a pillow on the couch and returned to work, I thought, this must be heaven, watching her, maneuver in large circles around the living room. Shay and Rich might not even be alive right now, though they declared this wall a monument to what they thought they'd be. When I asked my mom if I could get cookies in heaven, she looked at me as if something behind my head was talking. "Go get them yourself," she said. "They're right where they've always been." This poem is called At Dinner, when someone says reading poems is torture. Tell them how the ancient Greeks invented the bronze bowl. The condemned were locked in its stomach, then a fire under the statue heated the metal until they roasted alive. It bucked while they cooked, and the sound apparatus turned screams into snorts. Imagine Perillus of Athens pitching his idea to the tyrant king, planning each stage of diabolical casting, the months taken to chisel horns and nostrils wide enough for the perfect amount of agony to trickle out. When he finished, Perillus said to the tyrant, "Screams will come to you through the pipes as the tenderest, most pathetic, most melodious of bellowings." Horrified by the end of his imaginings, the tyrant locked Perillus in his own creation, then fashioned handsome jewelry from his bones. And finally, this poem is called Icky Dugno. It's in sections. Rudy sips his gin, then unwraps the plastic around a roll of duct tape. As we tiptoe to the bathroom, closing the door, he pulls long strips. I wait cross-legged in the tub. Tomorrow is Christmas. My dad is asleep upstairs. I'm patient with each piece Rudy sticks on my outstretched fingers. My father stands with Uncle Rudy in the front yard of a duplex. Both dressed in cowboy hats and chaps, Rudy's eyes are half closed. His arm drapes around my father's neck in a loose hug, like a cowhand's bandana. My dad points a gun at the camera. His own father dead a year. In his left hand, Rudy clutches a beer can against the flat plane of my father's chest, its condensation bleeding into the checkered cloth. When I am too drunk to sleep, I stray through my apartment, looking for the places something could enter. A silverfish skulks the side of the tub. I make sure the light outside my front door never goes dark, and before I can stop myself, I reach down and close the drain. Each Saturday, when he drove to the post office, Rudy measured the trip by how many beers he could finish, while my father crawled the back seat's leather foxhole, stuffed army men into the lumbering Cadillac's ashtrays. Rudy died of a heart attack when I was 10. I remember his wan body extending from the half-open coffin like the top of an unwrapped candy bar. Someone's hand pushing a full glass at me. And the toast, Isfakata, Icky Dugno, to health, bottoms up. Rudy believed the dead came to drink our lives in large gulps through our toilets and drains while we slept. It's Christmas Eve, I'm 8, and I don't want to die, so I spread thick layers of duct tape where I'm told, and when we get to the kitchen, Rudy lifts me up on the counter, and I'm tearing tape, and he's opening the freezer for more ice, whispering, "Hurry, please, Keith, hurry." I know I don't drink like Rudy. I don't spend entire days at the Lithuanian club bent over a bar stool like a piece of copper wire, pickled eggs and pig's feet suspended in fluorescence on both corners of the bar. I still carry the membership card Rudy got me as a kid, when we would spend Saturdays with the bartender serving me soda and lime, the string of blessings before each sip, and when the men raised their glasses, I followed. I keep duct tape in the hall closet of my apartment. When I get home from the bar, some nights I peel strips, but I can't bring myself to stick them anywhere. Instead, I ball them up, walk out to the row of cans at the curb. On Christmas morning, I storm downstairs to tear through my presents. My dad is the only one awake. For a moment, I wonder if everyone else is dead. He takes my hand and we walk through the house, peel tape from every crevice, then stack logs in the fireplace. We crumple what we found into a bouquet of kindling, sit together on the hearth, waiting for our backs to burn.
Russell, can you come here? Can you come over here? Down in there. Sure thing. Yeah, right. I give you Russell Bennetts.
Thank you. Here's something from Distracted to Attention that I wrote with my friend Jeremy Fernando. Each existence of a critical writing bleeds the next one. To bleed, perchance to dream. On the one hand, the reader refreshing. On the other, our forgetful critic. A forgetting that passes meaning and, once published, erases the spectre. Once a necronaut spoke of howlings encoded like a striptease, the hidden, the shown. But what is a striptease other than the performance, the explicit showing of nudity, or showing even more so that the one stripping is never naked, that the one who is watching, the one completing the show, the one seeing, is precisely the one who is stripped bare? For it is not the screen that shows, but the one that is staring at the screen who is shown. Shown to be nothing other than the one who is screened. Pity the trigger-thumbed digital reader scrolling. My clover order is ready in 4 minutes. Egg and eggplant sandwich beats down the menu. The egg and eggplant sandwich of summer burns along the board and thins the menu with appropriated air, till from the off menu a regular orders an eggplant sandwich, no egg. Still the $7.95 spills out my pocket, a large note in either hand, and echoes of the founder's alma mater are emblazoned, and hushed the brazen cheek of state colleges, the hurry of accumulated debts, and from the second self-service tap, the CO2 dribbles into plastic. The CO2 dribbles into plastic and gurgles, sparkling thirst quencher, clean one of light, between other customers thirsting, some hid, softly turning to spy, apprehensive to hurtle tapwards. Fresh triumphs in such courteous kinds, having other places to be and spend, and easy, countless clover locations, all over Cambridge, no doubt, like a crimson heart, wealth spent in sighs, the famous autumn walks to come. The CO2 drops ever, ever, ever glistening. Now our catnip tea mission piles deep, an overarching lot, the egg and eggplant, across the all so hurried is flung, and here beneath the mission statement is cast a reason to spend, to snack, to colour us bad, while sweated neighbours hooch and swing beneath the glancing water tap. And deepening like those tender French fries, rosemary moves along just so, and baked musicians alongside, who caught it all, an emerald pierces order, and last, our fate name is called, and falls. This last poem is called Little Green Street. I wrote for this occasion, so thanks for Kevin for inviting us. Half and half creatures, creatures of half and half, moonlit, wooded cherubs, abandoned, wyvern dragon shrugs, polluted copse, we unite, we you gather, snowblind curves spilling inside. You got your creating, wired, wiry, anything for a pound note, in fact. Knife sharpening, disco dancing, ghostwriting. Straight-edged or mishandled, it'll all be over by lasties. Lasting bull, the devil's refugee, cackled bird sang, O red as sky, past new dusk. England's towered troops, towering and tired, tethered to those wasted spice wars. Morning, morning, moon raking all night, that long handle, tireless and bereft Wessex. When slotted, a warlock standing, stoned, moved Wiltshire stone, out crepling, keeping the cable tight, keeping the cable tight.
Bob, could you come down? Clive.
Okay.
Can you meet them down there? It's always better. Yeah.
I couldn't hear the other ones.
Yeah, it's tricky to hear you down here. Cameraman?
Camera 1, camera 2,
Camera 1?
camera 2.
Oh, I forgot how John pockets on this. Good place, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
I'm not walking through it at night. You might twist your ankle for sure.
Break your neck. I think it's the alive poets together.
Okay, folks, are we going into the pit? Yep. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. Bob, you following this?
Yeah.
Good tip. Yeah. Lead.
There's a little cool spot there, isn't there?
Cool, thanks.
We in?
We here? You okay, Aaron? We good?
Aaron's in.
Squeeze on here now.
Squeeze in now.
In the middle. Go in the middle. Come on.
I'm good. I'm good here. I'm good.
You look detached.
Yeah.
Come here.
Be friendly. You know me and Keith.
And this is Hear Me Wake from Bourne.
Hear me wait.
No, where's the area? Gloucestershire. Bream.
Bream.
The Devil's Chapel. I always
The
forget
Devil's
that part.
Chapel. Yeah.
The Devil's Chapel.
I give you Clive Birnie,
Thank you. Yeah.
Keith Kopka,
Yes.
Russell Bennetts,
Thank you.
Matt Duggan,
Yep.
Erin Belieu.
Blue.
Belieu. Sorry, I apologise.
We bow.
Yeah.
Yay.
Wonderful.
That's it.